Good evening, and welcome to another edition of today's Tax Talk. Uh, Today I was going to talk about the IRS failing to return everybody's money or to process tax returns, but there was a event that I wanted to talk about, and it's much more interesting. Cannabis and the IRS. I think you'll agree with me. So join us, and we'll talk about it. Go down a little bit. And first, thank you so much for joining us here today. Cannabis and the IRS. Long history. I've written a lot about this with taxes. And, people say, well, attorney, Leahy, what does this have to do with taxes? Well, if there's some years ago when this was a new industry, cannabis, and some states had done the medical marijuana. I think it was 2014 was the first state that allowed a legal business of marijuana, cannabis. And the IRS and the federal government still to this day hold it illegal to possess and traffic in controlled substance, and marijuana is one of the controlled substances. And so, again, I've written a lot about this, about how to change this. It has not changed. And one of the reasons why, that's why I want to talk a little bit about this. So let me go and I'll talk a little bit about it. Here's a memorandum from 2014, I believe, 2015. And this is an IRS memorandum where people were asking about, the deductibility. Now, the question whether, and this is here the whole thing in a nutshell. When you run a marijuana business, there's two things you can't do, and that's one, put money in the bank, in a federal bank. So that's why it's a strictly cash business. And second thing you can't do is deduct expenses. Legitimate expenses, you can't deduct them. And the reason that is, and I just want to bring this to your attention, because in 1981, let me see if I can get this. In 1981, the tax court allowed an illegal business to recover the cost of a controlled substance obtained on consignment. So, hey man, the guy fronted it to me. And also to claim certain business deductions, a portion of his rent he paid on his apartment, which was his sole place of business, and the cost of the small scale, packaging expenses, telephone expenses, and automobile expenses. Okay, and there was no prohibition about this. And the IRS had caught this gentleman and charged him with tax fraud, but he went back and filed his tax returns. So there's no tax fraud, and they assessed a tax against him based on what they said he made. But then he had all these deductions, and he deducted them. Well, thereafter, in 1982, Congress enacted Section 280E of the IRS Code, and this is as it relates to deductions and the cost of controlled substances. No deduction or credit shall be allowed for any amount paid or incurred during a taxable year in carrying on a trade or business if such trade or business or activities which compromise such trade or business consists of trafficking in controlled substances within the meaning of Schedule 1 and 2 of the Controlled Substances Act. And this is where cannabis falls into this definition to this day. Which is prohibited by federal law or the law of any state in which such trade or business is conducted. So again, this was a reaction to a innovative drug dealer who got caught and then tried to deduct all of his expenses. And again, Congress came back and said, "Hey, no, you can't do that. We're not going to let you. We're not going to let you deduct those expenses from your income, and so if you get caught, you're going to have to, the IRS is going to make you pay." You got to pay, the amount of taxes. Well, right now, if I'm running a legitimate business, again, here in Illinois, we all know that there's dispensaries. These are legitimate businesses. They're making, they're selling marijuana. But again, they still can't put their money in the federal bank. They still cannot deduct all their expenses. And so today, the IRS today hosted I only found it in one place. The IRS. Well, let's go to that, and then you can see what I'm talking about. The IRS hosts marijuana and cryptocurrency tax event that highlights legalization support. Okay, so this is two of the best subjects here that we talk about on this show, crypto and cannabis. The Internal Revenue Service on Wednesday hosted a forum dedicated to tax policy for marijuana businesses and cryptocurrency. The seminar. Are they related in any way? I don't know. The seminar, which was presented by a representative of the National Association of Tax Professionals, examined issues such as allowable tax deductions while cannabis remains federally illegal and how different states approach taxing marijuana. Well, we know that they tax marijuana here in Illinois, the sale, at a very, very high rate. It also covered issues related to paying taxes on earnings in Bitcoin and other forms of digital currency. And I'm not going to talk about that here, but we've talked about it extensively on this show, especially catch us on Crypto Tuesday, where we talk about crypto, all things crypto. During the IRS Nationwide Tax Forum panel, there was a discussion about growing public support for cannabis legalization and the prospects for federal reform. A description of the event states that the attendees would learn how to prepare a tax return for illegal activities and identify when virtual currency needs to be reported as a taxable income. Again, we've talked a lot about that. And again, to preparing it, the IRS definition of income is broad. It means all income from whatever source. And this is why no matter what happened, if the federal government comes after you for a crime, invariably, if they can't prove the crime, they're going to get you for tax evasion. And look no further than Al Capone, right? What did he go to prison for? Tax evasion. They could not pin a crime on him, and so they got him for tax evasion. And that's very common. That's a very common tact for the federal government. Again, they try to get people, and sometimes they can't prove their case. They don't have enough evidence, but they'll have enough evidence for tax evasion. And so again, even though you're in an illegal activity, you're supposed to claim all that as income. The presentation, which was aimed at tax professionals interested in learning how the crypto and cannabis spaces, provided a high-level overview of some of the financial issues that are unique to marijuana industry under the umbrella of federal prohibition. While the vast majority of states have legalized cannabis in some form, its illicit status under the Controlled Substances Act means that marijuana businesses cannot deduct standard expenses like in other traditional markets under the provisions of known as 280E. And I just explained what 280E is. The presenter explained. He emphasized, however, that even if the business activity is considered illegal, cannabis companies must still pay federal taxes, as I just said. And he pointed out that there is an opportunity for limited deductions when it comes to reporting the cost of goods sold. And this is what this whole memo, let's go back to this memo that I had. This is what this memo is about. They can't deduct certain expenses, but can they deduct the cost of goods sold? And that was a prohibition that was not included in 280E. And so the answer is yes, according to this memo, that yes, marijuana businesses can deduct the cost of goods sold. And again, if you couldn't do that, I think, then the prices would really go up because they got to pay for it somehow, right? He emphasized, however, that even if the business activity is considered illegal, still pay federal taxes. One slide from the federally hosted presentation noted polling that shows a majority of Americans supporting ended the prohibition, and it provided an overview of economic potential of the marijuana market. There's a huge market out there. We all know that. Here in Illinois, it's the revenue generated for the state has been phenomenal. Much more than even expected. The accountant who led the panel further discussed efforts by the Senate Majority Leader Schumer and colleagues to pass legalization legislation, and that they're going to present it later this month. I've heard about this. I think this is a very active item, and so I don't know why it took so long. It's been legal in many states again since at least for medical purposes since 2014 at least. And so, but it's as we know, the government moves slowly. While the IRS has advocated for the federal cannabis policy change, it has stood out as an agency that understands the complications created by prohibition, and it's taken steps to provide clarity to taxpayers and financial professionals to navigate the space. Here's the answer: pay. Okay. Pay your taxes and don't deduct your expenses. That's, here's the clarity. So earlier this year, the commissioner for state legal businesses that to be able to, told Congress that the agency would prefer the state legal marijuana businesses be able to pay taxes electronically, as the current largely cash-based system under federal cannabis prohibition is onerous and presents risk to so they can't even file their taxes electronically. Former Treasury Secretary Mnuchin said in 2019 that he'd like to see Congress approve legislation resolving the cannabis banking issues, and he pointed out the fact that the IRS has had to build cash rooms to deposit taxes from those businesses as an example of the problem. Because again, everything's in cash. They can't have bank accounts. IRS released updated guidance on tax policy for marijuana industry last year, including instructions on how cannabis businesses that don't have access to bank accounts can pay their tax bills using large amounts of cash. You got to pay. We'll show you how to pay us with cash, but you're paying. The update appears to be responsive to the Treasury Department Internal Watchdog report that was released last year. The department's Inspector General for Tax Administration had criticized IRS for failing to adequately advise taxpayers in the marijuana industry about compliance with federal tax laws, and it directed the agency to develop and publicize guidance specific to the marijuana industry. The IRS commissioner participated in a cannabis-focused event in December in which he noted the legalization movement's continued momentum, saying that it will potentially succeed in ending prohibition in all states. Well, obviously, potentially that could happen. Will it happen? Well, we'll see, right? So the IRS is, I don't know how bad, as long as you're paying your taxes, I don't know how they would have a position on legalization or not legalization. It is what it is. But anyway, I thought it was an interesting case that the IRS is out there advocating for the legalization. And it's also interesting how they put the marijuana and the and the cryptocurrency markets together. I guess there's lots of questions for both, and maybe that's the connection. And, I guess it is the connection. So anyway, the IRS, I like my new IRS logo with the marijuana in the middle. Anyway, so that's the way. So again, I hope you like this. Where else you get this kind of tax information? You don't get it anywhere else. That's why I need you to like, subscribe, share this information, help others find this information. So hit the button, like the thing, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We very much appreciate it. Now, I've been talking about my free book a lot, about the Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. I was working on the site today to provide free access. So if you go to freeirsbook.com right now, it's only the book. I'm giving the book away for free, but it costs money to ship it. And so I ask you to pay a little shipping cost. I'm trying to get rid of that even. Now you can always buy, if you want the book, that there's always going to be shipping. It comes with some bonuses, special reports, the 6 things you can do if you owe the IRS money, the 4 things you should know if you have unfiled tax returns, the 3 things you should never say to the IRS, these types of reports, and you'll get those in the package that I send with the book. But again, I'm working on making it so you can make to the membership site. And our membership site for the book Deal with Your IRS Problem Today contains again a PDF form of the book, a Word document form of the book, an audio form where I read from I read the book, and also videos, analysis of each and every chapter of the book. So if you're interested in something like that, if you go there and you put your name in and then you don't pay, I'll get back to you with an email and send you a link to the membership site, and you can sign up at the membership site, and it won't cost you anything, and you can get a copy of the book for free without any shipping costs. Okay, so I'm still working on it, but again, if you go there and you give me your name before you, and don't give me your credit card information, I'll get your email address and I'll send you an email with the link on it. I'm going to try to correct that. I'm working on it. So, but I want to first thank you so much for listening today. I appreciate you taking the time to with me this evening, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.